So you've been through it, right? The tough relationships, the hard work of healing. You finally feel like you've broken a cycle. And then you land on this new and honestly kind of confusing question. After all that struggle, what are we actually aiming for? What is healthy love supposed to feel like in your body, on a regular Tuesday night? Let's get into it because I'm willing to bet the answer is not what you're expecting. And this right here is the whole reason we need to talk about this. Most people miss healthy love when it finally shows up. Why? Because it just feels weird. After years on an emotional roller coaster, something stable and genuine can feel so unfamiliar that we mistake it for a lack of chemistry. We literally walk right past the thing we've been fighting for, all because it doesn't feel like the chaos we got used to. So why on earth does that happen? Well, it all comes down to one core idea that's going to unlock everything else we talk about today. It's the fact that our bodies, our nervous systems, can get calibrated to chaos. They literally learn to expect a certain feeling from love based on our past experiences. See, every single one of us has something called an attraction template. Think of it like a subconscious blueprint that tells your nervous system, hey, this is what chemistry feels like. And it's not a choice, it's not a list you make. It's a blueprint that gets drawn by our earliest family dynamics and then colored in by every relationship we have after that. And if your history is full of high conflict or toxic relationships, that blueprint gets rewritten. Your nervous system actually learns to associate the feeling of anxiety, the adrenaline rush of unpredictability, that little dopamine hit you get when you finally win their approval. It learns to label all of that as passion. The chase itself starts to feel like love. Now, if you look at the actual science behind this, it is fascinating. That spark we chase in those intense relationships, it's literally a chemical cocktail of cortisol and adrenaline, your body's stress hormones. It's your nervous system in a low-grade state of fight or flight. Healthy, secure love, though, it runs on a completely different fuel: oxytocin, serotonin, the bonding and contentment hormones. It's supposed to feel like calm, not a crisis. It's the difference between playing a slot machine and standing on solid ground. Which brings us to maybe the single most important takeaway here. That spark that you think you're missing, it isn't attraction. It's just your nervous system recognizing a familiar pattern, and the pattern it's recognizing is probably the one that hurt you. So the absence of that spark isn't a red flag. It might actually be the very first green one you see. And that leads us straight into our first practical sign of a healthy relationship. You learn that calm is the new chemistry. It's about consciously shifting your definition of what's attractive, moving away from intensity and towards a feeling of safety. And I gotta tell you, when you first experience this, it is going to feel strange. The lack of drama might even register in your brain as boredom. But that feeling isn't a sign that the relationship is wrong. It's the sound of your nervous system finally recalibrating. It's learning that love is allowed to feel like peace. Okay, our second sign is all about learning to spot a different kind of currency in a relationship. It's about shifting your focus from performance to presence and learning to value what we'll call quiet love over the big spectacle of loud love. So loud love is exactly what it sounds like. It's performative. The grand gestures, the big public declarations, the stuff that looks great on social media. But quiet love is different. It's practical. It's the small, steady, consistent acts of care that are designed to provide real support, not to get applause. It shows up when no one's watching, and all the ordinary moments. And this looks like loving with logistics. Them checking the weather for you or figuring out the parking so you don't have to stress. It's remembering your exact coffee order or knowing you always need a spare hair tie. It's just follow through. It's sitting with you in a hospital waiting room. It's doing the dishes without acting like they deserve a medal. These small, repeated actions are what actually build a real foundation of safety. Sign number 3 might sound like a bit of a contradiction, but it's so important. It's the power of being alone together. It's about how you maintain your sense of self inside of the us. A huge piece of this is a concept called parallel play. And no, it's not just for toddlers. It's when you and your partner can just comfortably be in the same space doing your own things. You're reading on the couch, they're on their laptop, and there's no pressure to constantly interact. That comfortable silence is actually a profound sign of trust. And what this is built on is a psychological principle called differentiation. It's just a fancy word for your ability to stay a whole person with your own thoughts, your own feelings, while being deeply connected to somebody else. It means that when you disagree, it's not a catastrophe because your entire sense of self isn't hanging on their approval. So how do you actually do this? Here's a really powerful little tool. In a tough conversation, try to keep about 75% of your awareness on your own body. your breath, the tension in your shoulders, and only about 25% on your partner. This stops you from getting totally swept away by their emotional state and helps you stay grounded in yourself. All right, our fourth sign requires a massive reframe. Healthy love is not about avoiding conflict. It's about getting really, really good at repairing the connection after a conflict. In a secure relationship, repair is the real romance. And we've got this amazing research from Dr. John Gottman that gives us a magic number. He found that the happiest, most stable couples have a ratio of at least 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. Think of it like making deposits in an emotional bank account. You build up so much goodwill that you can easily afford the withdrawal when a conflict inevitably happens. And a lot of this happens on a tiny level. A rupture doesn't have to be a big blowout fight. It can be just an eye roll or a sharp tone. The real art is in the micro repair. It's when one person just pauses. Instead of escalating, they take a breath and they make a small reach like, hey, can I try saying that again? In that moment, the goal shifts from winning to reconnecting. That's everything. So, when you take all these other signs, the calm, the quiet love, the sense of self, the skill of repair, they all build toward one ultimate feeling. This is the final and maybe the most profound sign of all, the feeling of being chosen, not managed. And here's the absolute core of it. In a truly healthy relationship, you feel chosen every single day. And that feeling isn't based on your performance. You don't have to earn it. You can just be. And what does that actually feel like in your body? Well, it feels like your nervous system can finally truly relax. You stop spending all your energy bracing for impact, and you can start just being present. It means you can be imperfect, you can be messy, you can be human, and you know you won't be abandoned for it. A disagreement becomes a conversation, not a disaster. And for the first time, maybe ever, love starts to feel like solid ground beneath your feet. So in the end, the goal isn't really to chase that fleeting, anxiety-fueled spark that we've been conditioned to want. It's to consciously and intentionally build a state of safety with another person. And the real question is, after everything you've learned and everything you've been through, are you ready to choose the profound, life-changing power of calm over the familiar pull of chaos?